back to another edition of 30 Teams in 30 Days here on Inside the Zone with Mateo, our summer NBA offseason preview here. I've been waiting a long time to do this, and it's day 4, so you probably have a good idea. You have a good idea of how this works, but in case you're new, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe button. Turn the notification bell button on so you don't miss any of these episodes. And go ahead and check out days 1, 2, and 3 as well. We did the Wizards, we did the Pacers, and we did the Nets yesterday. And now it's time for the Utah Jazz, where basically in 30 teams in 30 days, what we do is we take a look at each NBA team, and kind of preview their offseason, but also recap their season from last season. And we go in order from worst record to best record. We're taking a deep dive into each NBA team during the month of June. So 1 episode a day. Normally we only do episodes like twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. But in June, every single day there will be an episode coming out. 1 new team every single day. Here's the schedule in case you guys are new and want to make sure you don't miss your favorite team. We go in order from worst record to best record. And today we are doing the Utah Jazz. So it's the first team that has won over 20 games. Yes, we had more than 20 games. Like the Nets had won 20, so that was their first team over 20 wins, or at 20 wins, because then the Wizards and the Pacers had under 20 wins. But now 22 wins, the worst team statistically in the standings-wise in the Western Conference. Really surprising to a lot of people because they have a lot of interesting pieces. They just really, in my opinion, got bugged with injuries. They got hurt with injuries a lot last season. So I don't think this team actually should be a 22-win team. I think they should probably be closer to a play-in level team, but injuries happen. They get the 2nd overall pick. It's the Utah Jazz. Mateo Show batting order presented by To Be Determined. If you'd like to sponsor this segment, go ahead and let me know by sending me a DM on X, an email, or using the form on my website. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. Mateo Show batting order, for those who don't know, we use it across all the podcasts here on the channel on YouTube and Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast. Sorry, the intro's a little weird today, bro. I just got done working out. I'm hyped, and I had some coffee, maybe a little jittery. Same batting order though. It's basically a show roadmap. We do it on all the podcasts, but for 30 teams in 30 days, it's the same batting order all 30 days. How well did they do last season? Who they should draft? Who they should keep from their own free agents? Who they should let walk, who they should target in free agency or maybe via a trade, and what is their early ceiling and floor if they make some of the moves that I suggest or if they keep their team relatively the same. So without further ado, it's time for 30 teams, 30 days. What is next for the Utah Jazz? Sorry again, that intro was a little weird. Let's get into the first thing. The 25-26 season, where it's pretty short, but sometimes I yap a little bit here, recapping the team's record, players, and I'll just give you some quick thoughts on their overall NBA season. So, the recap, they were 22-60, as already mentioned. They were tied for the worst spot in the Eastern Conference at 15th. They were tied with the Kings, who I believe we'll be doing tomorrow, right? We're doing the Kings tomorrow? Hold up, sorry about this. I think it's the Kings tomorrow. Yeah, perfect. It's the Kings tomorrow and then the Grizzlies. Man, we're going to go on a Western Conference streak a little bit here. We had the first 3 episodes be Eastern Conference, and now there's a lot of Western Conference teams. That's just how the standings worked out. But we'll dive into some player stats in a moment, but some key leaders. Top scorer, Keyonte George, who had one heck of a year for the Utah Jazz. Top assister, Kyle Filipowski. The top rebound, okay, those are flipped. Isaiah Collier is their top assister, and Kyle Filipowski is their top rebounder. I'm sorry if you're watching the video. Those are flipped, whatever. They do have the 2nd overall pick, but we will talk about that in a second. So let's get over here to Utah's stats, their player stats, if you will. We don't really care about team stats as much. We're just kind of looking at their players because it could help us figure out, say somebody's a free agent. Maybe they didn't have a great season. Maybe you let them walk. Kind of that's why we do this, but also just to kind of give you a little recap of what happened for the 25-26 Utah Jazz. As already mentioned, Keyonte George, one heck of a season. But I do want to say something. Again, I said the Utah Jazz probably would have succeeded way more if they would have stayed healthy. you're going to notice something. There are only a couple players that have played over 70 games. There are only a couple players that have played over 60 games for the Utah Jazz. Key guys like Lauri Markkanen, Keyonte George. They did trade for Jaren Jackson, but he was still injured after they traded him. Walker Kessler played 5 games. Even Collier played under 60 games. Nurkic only played 40. As you can see, it just keeps on going. Injuries, player availability was a big thing and a big reason why the Utah Jazz could not really get anything going. I do think if at least half of these players would have played 50% more of their games, you can make a case that maybe they take Portland or the Clippers or the Warriors spot in the play-in, and then maybe they're an interesting team come playoff time. But besides the point, in 54 games played, Keyonte George averaged almost 24 points, the team leader in points. He averaged about 4 rebounds and 6 assists. I believe his second season in the NBA. Lauri Markkanen, 42 points. 42 games played. I don't know what's going on today. He averaged 27 points. Why he is not a team leader is because he did not play the minimum number of games to count as a league leader. Obviously, if you average 27 points in only 42 games compared to averaging 24 points in 52 games, the averages count. So that's just something that I keep having to remind people, because in the comments, people keep saying, well, he played more games, he averaged more points. It's just how the NBA does it, all right? It's how the NBA does it. Hope you're happy. But Lauri Markkanen in 42 games averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists, also averaging about a block and a steal per game. Jaren Jackson Jr. only got to play 3 games for the Utah Jazz after being traded from the Memphis Grizzlies. In that time, though, he did average 22 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. He's going to be a big addition, big key addition to the Utah Jazz next season, which I'm really looking forward to see. I'm really excited for this Utah Jazz team. I think they're starting to build something that is going to be really interesting. Obviously, they have the second overall pick. Who they pick there, we'll talk about in a second. I think with that and a couple small moves, this team could be a little competitive come next April. Let's just say that. I'll hint at that. Walker Kessler, again, only played 5 games last season because then he dealt with season-ending injury. He averaged 15 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists in that time frame. Ace Bailey had a nice little year there, 14 points in 72 games, 61 started games as a guard. I thought he was going to play small forward, but he ended up playing a lot of the time at the shooting guard position. I thought he played pretty well. He was averaging about 4 rebounds and 2 assists, so there's some room for improvement, especially for the assist marker, but also as a shooting guard, you're more of a scorer rather than an assister. The point guard, a.k.a. Keyonte George, most likely going to get more of those assists. Isaiah Collier played some point guard as well here and there. He played 59 games. He again, 12 points a game for him, about 2.5 rebounds and 7 assists. So there's the lot where the assists are coming from. Kyle Filipowski averaged 11 points, 7 rebounds, which was the leader, the team leader in rebounds, also having 3 assists. As you can see, look, for the team leaders, that's probably where I just added the wrong thing. They're both Collier and Filipowski, as you can see, both averaged 7.2 in their respected stats, so I probably just thought it was assists, whatever. I apologize. Nurkic, 11 points, 10 rebounds, so he averaged a double-double in 41 games played. And then a lot of these other guys just didn't play too much. There were bench roles and didn't have a lot of notable things. People have been asking for some shooting stats, so I didn't do shooting stats for the first 3 episodes, but I did want to just show you guys here. Keyonte George, 37% from the 3-point range. Chandler, actually, we didn't mention him, about 40% from 3-point range, which I thought was actually incredible. Kessler, in his really limited amount of games, in his 5 games, was shooting 75% from 3. Isaiah Collier, 27. But in general, shooting percentages, Jaren Jackson, in limited games, of course, was shooting about 50%. But Keyonte George, shooting 46% in the games he played. Again, really, really, Really talented, really encouraging for the young guard out of, I forgot where he went to college, but Keontae George. Pretty good. Before we go over to the draft, I always like to do this because taking a look at the depth chart can definitely help us articulate a little bit, maybe where they're a little weak, where their positions of need coming into the draft. And, this team, with the addition of Jaren Jackson, obviously, all of these guys should be fully healthy, fully ready to go come October. So ignore the the injury marks here. But when you're looking, relatively, this is my opinion, and I'll go right here to the mock draft that we usually use on ESPN. You can find this ESPNanalytics.com/NBA draft simulator. AJ Dybantsa, I already said he's going number 1. I think I already broke that down on the Wizards episode. You can go ahead and find that. It's in the playlist of 30 and 30. It's also just on my channel. It's on the season 2 playlist as well. You can go find that episode. I broke down why I think they should take AJ Dybantsa. I'm not going to do that again. They're going to sit here with pick number 2. In my opinion, there are two possible selections, right? Darren Peterson, guard out of Kansas, one of my favorite players in the draft. Then you also got Cam Boozer out of Duke. He's a forward. You also have Caleb Wilson at forward. You could make a case you could take him there. But then there are a lot of guards. Acuff, who I'm super high on. Wagler, who I'm super high on. Flemings, who I'm super high on. I love it. I mean, this is one of the deepest drafts we've had in a long time. But when you're looking at the depth chart, there are a lot of forwards on this team. Talented forwards on this team. /centers. Jaren Jackson, Lauri Markkanen, Filipowski, Kessler, Nurkic, who I do want to say Nurkic will be a unrestricted free agent, I believe. Yeah, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent, right? Yeah, unrestricted free agent, but he is eligible for the bird option, so he could definitely come back. I'm guessing he'll probably be back. A little hint here. I bet they'll try to bring him back, but I don't think they're going to pay him the $11 or $12 million he was making last season. However, yeah, he was. Never mind. He was making $17 million last year. I don't think he's going to come back for that much at age 32. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But the point of this here is there are a lot of forwards, a lot of bigs at the guard position. Keontae George obviously is going to be your starting point guard. You got Ace Bailey, who can definitely play shooting guard. You have Isaiah Collier, who can play point guard. You got Cody Williams, who I didn't really highlight too much, but he had 9 points a game in 67 games played off the bench. Solid guy. Solid guy off the bench. But when you're trying to address a position of need, your guard play is weaker. So that's the first helpful thing to, okay, they're not going to take Cam Boozer. They're not going to take Caleb Wilson. I don't think it makes sense. You need a guard. And a potential generational guard is going to be on the clock. In my opinion, you have to take Darren Peterson. You have to take Darren Peterson. It is almost 100%. Like, he is going to be on the board, and you have to take him. Like, he is an incredible athlete. I think he fits your timeline amazingly. By the way, he's a 6'6" guard. A 6'6" guard. Perfect for a shooting guard position. And here's the why it makes even more sense. With this team, you can have Ace Bailey start as your 2 guard. And so it's less pressure for Darren Peterson. You don't have to throw him into the starting lineup. I mean, you could. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. And injuries will happen, and then you can maybe move Ace Bailey to the 3. But you don't have to throw him straight into the lineup. You can just let him chill. You can let him chill. And it just makes the most sense for the Utah Jazz to select Darren Peterson. Okay, it just makes the most sense. I don't think they have another pick in the draft, so we don't have to come back. Yeah, we don't do second round. Second round is kind of whoever's available, you're going to take him. But Darren Peterson, it just makes the most sense. I laid that out. If you disagree, if you think they should go up, if you think they should take Cam Boozer, feel free. Let me know in the comments. But me personally, what I believe here, just based off their depth chart, they need perimeter scoring, which we'll talk about in a couple moments. The stars are aligning for the Utah Jazz to take Darren Peterson second overall. Got a little ahead of myself, so we can skip the little draft section here. Bam. I mean, there we would be previewing, right? Mock draft, whatever. We can skip that. Now it's the start of free agency. What we do here on 30 teams in 30 days, we divide the free agency chunk into two parts. The first half is where we take a look at the team's own free agents, and then the second part is where we say, well, who can now they acquire that's not on their team currently? So, number one, addressing their team, their own free agents. This is a list of who their free agents are. By the way, this is from Spotrac. They're a great website. As you can see, there are quite a couple of players, intriguing players out there. I think these two-way players here, I did this last time. Y'all liked it. We're going to do it again. We're going to do the laser pointer. These two guys, you'll probably get re-signed at cheap two-way deals. Just makes the most sense. I actually don't really like this. Gray, though, and Bez here, they both have club options for pretty cheap. The good thing here is that doesn't really count too much on your salary. I think, again, they take them. But these top three centers, basically your three centers on your roster are all up for new contracts. Now, as mentioned already, I don't think Nurkic comes back for $17.5 million a year. All three of these also, by the way, are on bird options. So basically, I had to look this up just to refresh my brain. To explain what this bird thing is, it basically means the team can go over their salary cap to sign them, if that makes sense. So even if a team is over the salary cap for their own players, they can go over it to sign them to a new contract, right? And that's where all the second aprons and first aprons all come out. But just know that even if they don't have salary, they can afford to sign these guys. I don't think Kevin Love returns, right? At 38 years old, I just don't think that happens. Sure, they need veterans, but I think they can find a little younger veterans to fill those positions. And so I don't think Kevin Love. I think Kevin Love is the first guy. I don't think you take him, right? I guess I can put a check mark here. I think these guys most likely get signed. For Nurkic, it's really 50-50. If you can pull him in maybe for like a 2-3 year veteran league minimum, which is about $3 to $4 million, I think for his age, for his years of experience as well, which is that. I think it just depends on how much they're willing to pay for him. And I think because you're going to have to pay Walker Kessler now new money, who, by the way, he is a restricted free agent. A restricted free agent meaning it's a little bit more leeway for the Utah Jazz. They have a little bit more flexibility. They can match salaries and stuff. I think they re-sign Walker Kessler. I just think that just makes sense. I think they need him. They don't really have any other centers. At 25 years old, he's going to enter his prime. Sure, he's coming off an injury, but I don't think you can lose him, right? I don't think you can lose him. I think you sign him the money. You can even maybe use this Nurkic money maybe to add to that. I think Kessler, he'll be making probably about $25 to $30 million next season. I think something like that goes here. I think he's eligible for extension the day after the NBA Finals concludes. But yeah, so I think really the big question mark here is Nurkic, which again, it's just going to be kind of on the preference of the Utah Jazz of like how much they want to pay him. And like we can go to Fanspo. Fanspo is what we use kind of for the trade machines and just contracts. It's a really great website. I didn't load it up. I don't know why I didn't. Why didn't I? I don't know why I didn't load it. I didn't know why I didn't load it up. That's all good. Let's head over to what team? It's the Utah Jazz. Bam. Perfect. Bam. Okay, so like here, like Nurkic again, he's making. They say 19. It's about 17 with some bonus options. Like I think you give him an extension. I think if you're the Jazz, you probably should look to extend him just because he's valuable. He's in the system. But again, I think it's a 1-year veteran league minimum. Something exactly like that. Perfect. Exactly like that. I think you just give him a 1-year, 3.9 million or so million deal. You stay with a bunch of flexibility cap-wise, which is great. It will probably be taken up by Darren Peterson a little bit. But I think that's the best thing to do. And then Walker Kessler, of course, you're going to have to give him an extension. Oh, he also does have a team option. Ooh, I don't think he actually has a team option. This might be an error. Yeah, we're going to give him a new contract. Okay. We're going to give him, I think what makes sense here, 4 years. I mean, this is the minimum salary. Again, I think it's close to like, I want to say like 26, and then you maybe go up to 28, then you go up to 30, and then you go up to maybe 32. I think something like that seems valid for a guy like Walker Kessler. He'll be making like 26.4 a year. But that's just for the first year, and then it goes up. I think it gradually would go up. I think it would be a backloaded contract just to make sure, okay, yeah, we're tied into you. And I do think this works. Sure, you go into the first apron, but again, you're going to lose some of these players. I think, like, for instance, Kevin Love. I think he'll be gone, right? I think he'll be probably gone. You can waive him or whatever. I think it just makes the most sense to make sure you sign Kessler to a long term, maybe even more. I think you could maybe even make an argument. You could maybe make an argument that you say maybe we have to pay you $30 million a year. Like I wouldn't be opposed to them paying 30. Then you maybe gradually go up 32. Maybe you go up to then 34 and maybe 36. As he gets older, and it's something like that. Like again, I wouldn't be surprised because he is still, when healthy, he's a great player. So something along those lines, right? Something along those lines, I think makes the most sense for the Utah Jazz to sign their own free agents. That's, going to be a free agent. But again, it's obviously going to be up to their general manager. Honestly, who knows what they're going to do? Maybe they have different ideas. Maybe they're going to try to do a sign and trade with Walker Kessler. I'm not sure. But I think that makes the most sense, and that's where we're going to leave it be for now. So now we get to do a little fun part of the episode. Get to, use a little trade stuff, but also free agency is not just about trades. It's also about signings. And I put together, I think, 4 players of top targets. And here are my top targets for the Utah Jazz. As you can see, they're not flashy names. They're not huge names. But for me, the Utah Jazz are missing, if you want to find, their biggest weakness. I think they're a very young team. So they need veterans. But they also need perimeter scoring. They're a very forward/center heavy group. They need that perimeter scoring and perimeter defense. And each of these 4 guards, kind of in order of most expensive to least expensive, but still I think it's very, very negotiable and very flexible in the salary, very affordable. But all of 4 of these guys, unrestricted free agents, unrestricted guards, especially, that can come off the bench, be maybe a 7th or 8th man, maybe a 7th, maybe even a 6th man, depending on who you go. And for those who aren't on my video side of things, just on my audio side, I will read you those 4 names. Tim Hardaway Jr. of the Denver Nuggets, Jordan Clarkson of the New York Knicks, Gary Payton II of the Golden State Warriors, and Tyus Jones. I always get confused with Tyus Jones and Trey Jones. I think Tyus Jones is with the Denver Nuggets currently, but now, again, all unrestricted free agents. Let's go a little bit one by one here very quickly. Tim Hardaway Jr. We saw what he's capable of. He's capable of getting those clutch 3-pointers and some solid defense with the Denver Nuggets this year. That, in my opinion, would work very. He as a player, all four of these guys as players would work pretty nicely, I think, in the Utah Jazz's system. Jordan Clarkson, same thing. Jordan Clarkson, a little bit more of a scorer rather than defense, in my opinion, but still helps that guard room. Again, when we were looking at the depth chart, you got Keontae George, Ace Bailey, Isaiah Collier, maybe Cody Williams, but that's it. And then maybe you add Darren Peterson. But then compared to the forward/center group, the bigs group, you got Markkanen, Jackson, Kessler, Flapowski, Nurkic, Kevin Love, Konchar, Bryce Sanchenberg. So many more bigs. And even, by the way, Lauri Markkanen as a small forward, he could easily play the power forward because they're all so big. He was playing the power forward before Jaren Jackson got his way over to the Utah Jazz. So, again, a very interesting way. It's a very interesting way how the Jazz have built out their roster. But if you think about it, the Rudy Gobert times, that's kind of how they built it. They've always had a strong, big nature. Now they're finally starting to get some of those young guards, Keontae George, Ace Bailey, maybe Darren Peterson. That could definitely be interesting. It could be definitely very interesting. So now, that's kind of who I'm thinking, should be some targets. I think any of these could really help. Could help the depth of the guard position specifically, but the overall Jazz depth. Again, looking at the depth chart, in case you forgot, there it is. Make your own assumptions, make your own predictions. Let me know in the comments down below. But now, of course, we're going to have a couple trades that could be interesting, and I hinted one on the thumbnail. If you know me, I like to hint some stuff in the thumbnails. And Jaren Jackson came over from Memphis, and he's friends with a guy named Ja Morant. They were teammates in Memphis, and it's been heavily rumored that Ja's gonna get traded, even though Memphis is coming out and saying, maybe we're not gonna trade it. I'm thinking he's gonna get traded. If I were to, I don't bet, but if I were a betting man and I had to bet on one player getting moved this offseason, I would even take Ja Morant over Giannis. And you know how much I think Giannis is going to get traded. But obviously it would be interesting to see what a trade for Ja Morant will look like. I currently don't know what Ja Morant's trade value is. And again, coming from a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, we've been heavily linked to Ja Morant. Now, I don't want Ja Morant as a Wolves fan. But still, I've been thinking about a Ja Morant trade package, a trade value. I can't wrap my head around it. Like, I don't know who the Timberwolves would have to give up. I don't know who the Jazz would, A, be willing to give up, but also, B, have to give up for Ja Morant. Like, they would not give up this pick. But they have so many picks from the Timberwolves from that Rudy Gobert trade that you have 2 first-round picks next year. Like, you could even do this top 4 protected Laker pick. Trade him to the Grizzlies. Give him to the Grizzlies. All right, a first-round pick. Maybe you could do another pick. I don't know. I'd say maybe a late 2030. Can we do a 2032? I just don't want the trade rules. 2032, top 5 protected. Trade him to the Grizzlies. So 2 top 5 protected picks, if you will, 2027, 2032. And then you probably just have to give them a player, right? Probably obviously it would have to match the salary. They do have some cap room, so that could be interesting. John, could be interesting here. Maybe trade him to the Grizzlies. Like, this would work financially, right? Why would it? Grizzlies are acquiring too much. Oh, because the Jazz, I didn't include Ja Morant. That's my bad. You need $9 million. That's I knew something was off. Like, I don't think they give up Ace Bailey in this trade. I really don't. But again, if they go out and go get a man by the name of Darren Peterson, maybe they are willing to part ways with Ace Bailey. Like, I don't think that's realistic. But again, we're just exploring some different things. Now, I'm gonna take that 2032 pick away. I think a first round pick, Ace Bailey and John Conchar, more than enough. More than enough for Ja Morant. Let's try this. It's failed because Utah. Whatever. Yeah, I got that. They're acquiring $24 million too much. Yeah, that's the thing here because they have big salaries. So I think we would maybe just have to include this Nurkic salary. Let's just include this Nurkic salary just for the under KKK contract at the trade. Right, I know. Right, I know. Perfect. Okay, so no, this would work financially. So again, something like Ace Bailey contract and a first for Morant. Like, I even think that could be too much. Like, I just don't know what Ja Morant's trade value is. Obviously, here we're gonna remove Nurkic because he'll probably even maybe not even get re-signed. So let's see if there's somebody that is under contract that, I mean, that's the thing. They just don't have too many big contracts that they would want to get rid of. So again, maybe they don't move on from him. Maybe you put in a third team here to take on some salary. I don't know. But I think it could be interesting, like pairing Ja and Jaren now in Utah. Again, could be interesting. Like, they had some good chemistry in Memphis. And if you're going on the depth chart again, I'm sorry, I like using the depth chart because I think it gives us a nice little picture here. I think Keontae George could stay at the point guard, and I think Ja is a better two guard anyway. I don't think he's great at managing a team. So again, maybe you put him at the two guard. Maybe you put then. See, that's why I think maybe now thinking more about it, I think Ace Bailey would probably have to be in that trade, just so you don't have too much, especially if you go get Darren Peterson, and then Darren Peterson becomes your sixth man. Again, there's a lot of scenarios that could go out here. But yeah, it's a fascinating offer. I think, yeah, like for me personally, I don't know who is going to be, available, who the Jazz would be interested. Personally, I don't think they should go out and nuke anything. I think they should keep their team the same. I really think, even if they don't make a trade, I think just keeping this team together, drafting a guy like Darren Peterson, maybe getting a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr., and I think this team is legit pretty dang good. I really do think they're pretty good and have what it takes to, maybe not this year, but as their players get a little bit more experience, right? A little bit more experience. As they kind of develop and just figure out what direction the Jazz would like to go in. It's going to be an interesting season. It's going to be a very interesting season here. Yeah, I'm just going through Fanspo, seeing if there's any. Okay, this is from 2 weeks ago. This went a straight Markkanen for Ja Morant. Their salaries match up perfectly. Like, would this work? This is going to be the last thing we're going to talk about before we end the episode here. Would Lauri? I was trying to find this trade. I had bookmarked it and I just couldn't find it. I forgot if it was Kessler or Markkanen. So Markkanen for Morant. Like, you give Markkanen, he's a little younger. Give him to Memphis. You can build around him. Maybe you pair him up with Cam Boozer at pick 3 or something like that. Like, I don't know. Then you move Ace Bailey to the 3 because Markkanen's out of the equation. Then you got Ja and George, and then you got Peterson off the bench. I wouldn't hate that. Jazz fans, Grizzly fans, if you're watching this, I hope some Jazz fans are watching this. Let me know. Would you do this trade? Do you think you should keep them the same? And me personally, I don't think they should do that trade, but I do. It does make sense. But I think, yeah, they should go out and get somebody like Tim Hardaway Jr., Jordan Clarkson, someone like that. Draft Darren Peterson, and as we wrap up every episode, current ceiling and floor. Now there's going to be two ceilings for if they make the moves that I suggest, which would be drafting Darren Peterson and maybe getting somebody like Tim Hardaway Jr. or Jordan Clarkson or Gary Payton or someone. And then there's a ceiling if they keep their team relatively the same. Boom, here they are. With the moves I suggested, I think they are a play. Sorry, without the moves I suggested, they are a play and exit. I think they have the ability, if they make the moves, to, depending on who they're matched up with, without the moves, so keeping the team the same, drafting whoever they want to draft. Maybe they go out and draft Cam Boozer. Maybe they trade back and get Caleb Wilson. I don't know. Play and exit. I think they could maybe win a game, but their season ends in the play-in tournament. However, with the moves I suggested, just because how good the Western Conference is, I see them advancing out of the play-in tournament, maybe as a 6 seed, but you're going to have to play OKC, Minnesota, San Antonio, Denver possibly. I just don't think they're at that level yet, but I think they're getting closer. So as you see, they're not far away. They don't even have to make the moves I make, and I'm still pretty high on them. However, we're trying to get some experience. As you can hopefully see, I was driving this. You know, they have, I think, what it takes, but they need those veteran pieces. Those veteran pieces are going to help them win a little bit more playoff games. So I hope you could see all the picture, and I hope you did enjoy this episode here on day 4, June 4th of 2026. 30 teams in 30 days. This is the Utah Jazz. New episode coming out tomorrow. We got an interesting one with the Sacramento Kings, who did not get lucky in the draft lottery whatsoever. Again, of course, after June, after this series wraps up, episodes will go back to probably Tuesday and Thursday episodes like normal. I try to post almost daily shorts out here on the channel. Try to live stream here and there, so stay tuned for those. Kingdom Competitors drops every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern, so go ahead and check those out. We're looking at Christian athletes and what they believe, because I think, as I close every episode out with, don't forget to keep God first, because he's the most important thing in your lives. I want to make sure he's the most important thing in my life, and he's the first thing, the most important thing on this channel as well. So we look at what Christian athletes are doing to keep him first at their life, especially with all the fame and stuff going on. So it's a really good time. So I pray that you guys would join us there. But even if you don't, that's totally fine. Come back tomorrow for, yes, the Sacramento Kings. It's June 5th. Wait, June 5th. Pardon me for yapping. I wanted to make sure. Okay, no. June 6th will be Saturday. So I was going to say, hey, June 5th, you can watch Kingdom Competitors. And then, no, that will be for the Memphis Grizzlies. Hey, we talked about John Morant, mate. Come back on June 6th. We'll talk about the Grizzlies. But tomorrow will be the Kings. Did not get lucky in the draft lottery after really tanking, one of the biggest tanking teams in the league. $49 million player option for Zach LaVine. So much to talk about. But I hope you enjoyed this one on the Utah Jazz. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Turn the notification bell button on so you never miss any episodes. And I do hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to keep God first, because he's the most important thing in your lives. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.